So welcome to this session of the Thriving Family Africa Summit. Today we are exploring a theme that every family can relate to, which is connecting generations. And many of us have had those familiar lines of children of nowadays, or in our time, or when I was your age,
Oh,
and
yes.
those comments really just capture the real perplexities that families and communities have. So to have this conversation, I couldn't think of a better person than Shalom Munyiri, who brings a lot of wisdom in this space, has worked in this space of connecting generations for a long time, has lived experiences as a mom, as a therapist, as a coach, and to just help to us to think about how families can navigate this space. So Shalom, we are really glad to have you here. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to
Yes.
have this conversation that I'm really passionate about.
Right. Okay, yes, and I'm looking forward to how it will unfold. Thank you for always saying yes to all these little things I'm trying to do. I really appreciate Shalom you as a
Most welcome.
colleague and as a friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just
It's not
start off.
because I believe in what you're doing. You make a huge difference to family.
Thank you, I appreciate
So
that.
it's really important that I support the process. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And that's one of the things in this space that I would want to see more people seeing how many of us are doing this, but we don't know. We are so disjointed, almost working as silos. And just having a platform like this, the summit, helps people to actually see that many of us are doing this. And we are even more, we are better collaborating and partnering and supporting one another, right?
Very true.
Yeah. So let's start with just tell us, how did you get here? Why is connecting generations such a big deal for you? And why are you doing it?
No, I asked myself that question many times.
Mm-hmm.
But I have come to realize that my life journey actually led me here
Mm-hmm.
or has led me here. I wasn't your typical kid. I wasn't the kid who would toe the line, like you're saying, when I was your age, in our days, etc.
Yeah.
Yes, I was brought up by the kind of parents who expected obedience without question to a great extent. But thank God that they also allowed us to question. But I got into a lot of trouble with the questioning because I didn't just question with my words, I questioned with my deeds. And therefore, that came out as rebellious, always getting in trouble for having made a decision that does not make sense to someone, but made complete sense to me as a kid. And so, because of remembering those experiences, I wondered at some point, what if somebody else could be understood? Like I wish somebody understood me better then. And so I started just seeking out to see, okay, so what does it mean to actually understand this younger generation? And how do we connect that seeming gap that is there in expressing what's going on in the mind of the kid? That was one. Another thing that was part of this experience, much as I'm saying, yes, my parents were, strict, etc. They also included my idiosyncrasies in their day-to-day. For instance, because I liked arguing and my mom used to train youth in her church, one time she would invite me and tell me, I want you to come and be the rebellious one. I want you to come and do what you do at home in the youth meeting so that you look like you're questioning what I am doing so that we can drive the point home.
Okay.
Now that required me to research on her topic.
Yeah.
I can bring up the counter. The counter discussion of what she's saying. So if she says drugs are bad, I'll ask her why. Right? And so we had that back and forth. That made it enjoyable and helped me connect. I'd say the other thing that I can mention, which may not be something that people identify with today, we didn't grow up without television. Not because we couldn't afford one, but for some reason my parents chose books and games over the TV. And so what this meant is that we had lots and lots of connection intergenerationally. My mom's sisters came to stay with us when they were going to college. So what could we do in the evening except tell stories? I learned to connect across. When my grandmother started suffering from dementia, she came to stay with us. Again, so we are having 3 generations in the same household. Different people from different walks of life really sharing their stories. So that made it easy to get here. And I love the process. And then, of course, I practice it with my children.
You do.
Which has been great.
Yes, and I mean, I really I have attested that. I have seen that where, even the events that you have, your children just blend into those events so well. I didn't know that also your mom would do that for you. I mean, she really passed that on down to you. So your lived experiences, have really brought you to where you are. And I know you work with young people, you work with teenagers. Then what are these perplexities that you have seen in the space of working with across generations? What are some of these perplexities?
I think the one that is the biggest is we get into this space thinking that we are different, right? So we stop looking at each other as humans, but look at each other as the age or generation that you're from. And I wish I could tell each generation loud enough to just pause and stop looking at somebody else from the generational lenses. Because I think the biggest perplexity for me is that it's so easy to overlook the other generation because you're looking through the lenses of your experiences. So then I approach you with, you don't understand, and I give the reason as you are old, or you're from a different generation, or you are too young to understand. Instead of thinking, yes, the truth is you don't understand, but have I tried to explain to you? And have you tried to listen to me? So a major one is just how easy it is to ignore the other person or misunderstand the other person because of the lenses you're wearing when connecting with them, or even when talking to them. The lens that we look at people with. That's a major one. The other one, and let me put it this way, maybe a bit, not necessarily gory, but if we cut ourselves, the blood is red, oxygenated the same way. Our blood groups are not race-oriented, right? It's amazing how we think that we don't go through the same thing because of the generation you're from. I think heartbreak is heartbreak.
Right. It is.
The pain a 20-year-old will feel when their heart is broken is the same as the pain a 60-year-old will feel when their heart is broken. When they're fired, they will feel the same. When they lose a loved one, they will feel the same pain. But what amazes me is that we don't think that way about each other. Yeah, so those are some of the things that just baffle me. The blinding.
The lens through which we see, and the way we interpret, and we conclude we are different just simply because of the generational or the age different. And yet what you're saying is just how much alike we are. And I like what you said, a heartbreak at 20 is experienced as a heartbreak, just like a heartbreak at 60. That means first and foremost, we are emotional human beings, and the emotional capacities do not reduce or increase depending on the age. But I'm sure there's something that changes because of experience and things like that. So when you're doing your work with connecting generations, then what does that mean to you as Shalom, especially in today's really fast-changing world?
No, you see, if we just even pick up on that heartbreak one, or career change and being fired, you see, the 60-year-old has experience. So this may not necessarily be their first heartbreak.
Right.
But if they could approach the 20-year-old and tell them, this is what I felt the first time somebody broke my heart. This is what I felt the first time I lost my job. If we could just now go back and tap into that wisdom that has come with the experience, it would allow us to connect. I had one experience, short story. I had one experience of a mother and daughter fighting over a miscommunication that was happening between them. And the mother had withheld information from her daughter to protect her. And I'll put that in quotes, because that's one of the other things that causes the gap between generations, that we are trying to protect them from what we perceive is something scary for them.
Or what we went through and the struggles we went through, so we want to shield them from that.
Exactly. You see, now when you're shielding, you deny the next person information that may help them connect with you.
Absolutely.
Right? So this particular lady now, it was probably like a slip of the tongue. She let it out, the experience that she had had. And the immediate reaction from the daughter was empathy. The immediate reaction was empathy. Like, I didn't know that you actually went through that. Why didn't you tell me? Now, here's the thing. Modern space, the technology that we have, the material that we are getting over and over, keeps telling us this is who Gen Z are, this is who millennials are. It's categorizing people and making them homogeneous in terms of nature. But if we can just pause and talk to each other and say, this is why I feel I should shield you. Yes, I'm shielding you, but this is why I feel I should shield you. Then the other person is able to say, okay, why don't you let me try these two aspects of this thing on my own, and then we see how it goes. Another example that I see happening a lot, parents will bring up their children, and we'll get into this in terms of what should a family do. So parents will bring up their children up to a certain age, shielding them and protecting them. Then when they get to 18, they're told, you're now old enough, you're an adult, go. Right? Go and do what? Go and look for a job, go get your driver's license, go get into a matatu, just jump onto public means. Now, when you have brought up somebody, shielding them or preventing them, we don't even call it shielding, preventing them from having certain experiences, you don't know the anxiety that comes with new experiences. So if this kid has been riding in your car all their life, when not in your car, they're in somebody else's car, maximum 2 people, 3 people in a car. And then you want them to get into some public transportation that has 30 people, with the doors and sides being banged all the time, with all sights, smells, and sounds getting in. It's going to overwhelm them. Naturally, it will overwhelm them. Right? When they get overwhelmed, they get anxious. Now you start calling them entitled.
Yeah, we use that word a lot.
They're not entitled. They're just untrained.
Right.
So you find there's so much of that happening that I think should be done different. That we build the resilience. You expose in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Right? So public transportation is one. Getting their own food. Like you're saying, what does it look like in these modern days?
Yes.
In this modern days, we can dial up food.
Right.
You can microwave whatever is needed. I mean, as in, you don't need to do these things yourself. So yes, we are preparing our children for success. Are we preparing them for failure? In this modern day, are we looking at what failure looks like and preparing them accordingly? Those are conversations I think we need to have a lot more in depth. So what I'm seeing, back to your question of what am I seeing with families as I work with them, as I interact with them, is that in the actual lesson that your child needs to learn. And therefore, in the process of parenting them, you deny them fundamental things for their survival, fundamental information for their survival. Yes, they don't need to walk to school many kilometers, but who says that they can't walk a few hundred meters? Why do they need to be on school transport? Okay, it means that, yes, we understand that the world has become a lot more dangerous. There's grooming and everything else is happening. Okay, great. But why not show them what to do about it if it happens to them? Right? We used to have a conversation with my daughter. I mean, when she was growing up, and we talk about how to stay safe on the street. Now, there's theory of how to stay safe on the streets. And then there's practically walking with her on the street and doing the people watching, pointing out and saying, okay, fine, we're walking towards people. We can see there's 2 men ahead of us. When you're walking towards people, put your head up, of course, you're looking around and seeing your environment. Don't put yourself in a situation where you will walk between them. That is not safe. Walk on the side. This is the timing. This is who to look at. If they decided to grab you, and it's not about inducing paranoia, is that if they decided to grab you, do you see anybody else around you who would be of help? Now, if you cannot see anybody who would be of help, that means you're walking in some sort of lonesome area, which of course you shouldn't be doing in the first place. So it's just heightening their senses to the things that we are afraid of. Not shielding them from the things that we are afraid of. Because when they meet those experiences, they will not know what to do with it. And therefore we are putting them in more danger by protecting them.
And I think
we some examples.
And we missed out on that. We have the fears, and the fears automatically cause us to shield them, as opposed to stepping back and saying, let me just teach them. It might not happen, but just being really, really practical about it.
Exactly.
I like the statement, and one of those tweetable statements, they are not entitled, they are just untrained. So easy for us to go into the entitlement aspect for the things that we are the ones who have provided those things for them.
Exactly.
We're the ones who have entitled them to those things.
We gave it to them.
So it's the training that they need. And it's not just in parenting and family spaces, but it's in the workspaces. We are talking about connecting generations. There are so many myths all around, from the myths for boomers, myths for Gen Xers, myths for millennials, myths for Gen Zs. Now we have Gen Y, Alpha. And Gen B is starting off this year, 2025. So tell me, what are these myths, Shalom, that are really the reason behind the perplexities and the barriers?
Yeah. I mean, the myths are many. And I'm glad that we're having such conversations now. But the problem is that because we're having them now, most of the myths are about Gen Zs.
Yep.
And then comparing back and forth, right? Now, one of the myths is that the divide that we have between, yes, there's a gap between generations. But one of the myths, and I think we have intimated to it, is that the divide is because we are different. The divide is not because we are different. The divide is because of the things that we are actually going through. Right? Which other generation has had this speed in terms of technological change?
Right.
Right? So it's not just about the generation. They just happen to have been born at a time when technology is just changing so fast. So we're not different. The divide is not because we are different. It's because of the things that are going on in each person's time. Right? So what do you do about that? Divide, acknowledge it, and then take it as an opportunity to build gaps. So many of these myths, instead of just, you see, the thing is, I like that it's a myth. A myth is a half-truth.
Yeah.
It has an element that is true, that says, this is what is happening. But when it gives a reason, it's a bit different. So it's not fully believable, right? So you take advantage of the divide that actually exists as an opportunity to build a bridge instead of widening the chasm, right? Another myth that is there is that the people in each generation are the same.
Oh.
So all boomers are the same. All Gen Xers are the same. All millennials are the same. All Gen Zs are the same, right? They're not the same. We have very old souls who are amongst the Gen Zs.
Right. True.
We have young spirits who are amongst the boomers. And we have everybody in between. Right? And so this is a conversation that I have had with people, and I've had Gen Xers who don't understand what Gen Z is all about, saying, when I was a Gen Z, right? They think that a Gen Z is a 20-year-old.
Like a stage, adolescent.
Exactly. So they say, when I was a Gen Z. Now, what I like about that of when I was a Gen Z statement, however wrong it is that there's some people who actually look at the other generation with compassion, with an element of, yes, there's a part of when I was your age, but I'm also understanding that at this stage in your life, this is what you feel like doing. So we are not all the same, right? At all. Gen Xers.
Yeah.
We have all the myths that have been said about Gen Xers. They were the people who tried all sorts of, are they the ones, the boomers, I think, who tried all sorts of drugs. Then Gen Xers had their own season of things that they could do and not do. Gen Xers didn't question, they just went with the flow.
Yes.
Millennials were just, in fact, I think they're the ones that are mostly called entitled. Because millennials are the ones who came to age when everybody was awarded for being there. And therefore expected an award just for showing up. Gen Zs are a bit more demanding. Right? So what happens when you meet a Gen Z who's not demanding? Or a millennial who is ready to work without necessarily just being cheered for being there? We get confused, we get destabilized, and we're saying, are you sure you are? We start saying that a millennial who's behaving like a Gen Z is immature. No, they're not. They're just a human behaving as who they are as a person. So that myth of every generation is the same also needs to be busted. So we start looking at the innate differences and similarities between each other, right? Then the other one is the screen time.
Yeah.
Gen Zs are always on their screens. Let's look at everybody who has a phone right now. In fact, if you were to go and do a study, just do some basic people watching across in a mall, for instance, you are going to see that across the ages, people are glued to their screen. The screen is not about the generation. The screen is about the content that you're consuming online. And I've been sitting with 55-year-old, 60-year-old women who are glued to their Candy Crush type games because they have been sucked into that space, right? So it's about, let's look at the screen, not as a Gen Z thing, but as what is on the screen that is drawing you to it.
Yeah, the content.
The content, because this thing that has come into this generation is addictive to everybody, not just to the kids themselves. right? So screen is something, people in the generation being all the same. Another one that has been attributed to Gen Z is that they're too demanding.
Yeah.
That's a myth. Just because we didn't ask does not mean that they shouldn't. They're asking for fair pay. They're asking for equal opportunities. They're asking for loyalty. They're asking for some element of commitment.
Right. Accountability.
We didn't ask. Yes, accountability.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't ask for those things does not mean that they shouldn't ask, or that they're different for asking.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, so that narrative of they are asking because they are entitled. The question, the answer should be yes, they are asking because they are entitled. Let's not look at this entitlement as something negative. They're actually entitled to ask.
We were entitled to ask, but we didn't.
We didn't. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, at least my generation, I remember asking and demanding. Yeah. So those are some of the myths that really come up. Are there some that you have heard of that I didn't mention?
Oh, let me see. And I don't know, like you're saying, every myth is a half-truth, right? So, and I know you and I have had these conversations and shared these videos and reels about how Gen Zs are showing up in the workplace. And it's all about, I don't want to be in a toxic environment. There is that one of we, the older generation, we took up so much, we stomached being treated so badly. We never took time. It was just work. And so there's just that myth around that space of, me, I don't want to struggle. Me, I want to have an easy life. And so there's the perception that they don't want to work hard. They just only focusing on their mental health and things like that. So that's another one that really comes through. And it's a perplexity a lot, especially because the people who have the jobs and who have a say are the older generation. So there's an expectation, you do it the way I did it. You have to get here through hard work, through sacrifice, through gritting your teeth and not speaking and allowing oppression. So that's another one that really comes through.
Yeah. And you see what it ends up doing is leading them to do the ghosting, what we call the ghosting at work.
Yes.
Right? Where you know that you have asked somebody to come and then, hey, they don't even show up. Because of that excuse, my mental health is more important. I didn't think that you were going to be loyal or you'll commit to me, etc. So how about getting to the place and say, okay, this is how you communicate what you want. And it doesn't have to be how I wanted it done. It is simple, communicate. But what have they learned about the downside of communicating? Then I think even more important, did they learn how to communicate?
Yeah.
Did they learn how to communicate?
How was communication communicated to them?
Right? How was it modeled?
Yeah.
These are people who have woken up and their parents say, you know what, we are separating today. It's not about you, don't worry, done. So you wake up one day. I've been part of the process of helping children go through this. You go to boarding school. When you close for midterm or close for the term, you end up in a different house. Because while you were away, your parents decided they're no longer going to live together.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be okay with you. Right? So if that's the case, and if that's how to communicate, okay, when I don't feel like showing up, I won't show up. Yeah, when I don't feel like showing up, I won't show up.
Yeah.
But then something that has been there from way back when, because this is a conversation I remember having in the 90s. And the 90s are not 2090s, they're the 1990s.
You're betraying our age proudly.
Oh, yes. But there's somebody who would wait until people have reached where they were going for him to get into the shower to get ready. That's just a character flaw.
True.
It's not a generational thing. It is a character flaw. So we also need to look at the character of each person in the generation, as opposed to just saying this is who they are.
Yeah.
This is what they're demanding. This is what they feel entitled to. Let's look at the character.
Yeah. And then let's focus on that. Let's focus on cultivating or nurturing them out of who we know they are, or maybe the character that is there. Again, I think it comes back to, it's not an entitlement issue. It's not a generational issue. It's probably a training issue. It's probably about the environment. And I think you keep saying that over and over. Maybe we need to focus our eyes away from this generation and ask, what environment are we living with? Because it cuts across. What personalities are we dealing with? What temperaments are we dealing with? And look at that more.
Let me actually chime in something over there. Another one that people have said is that this generation does not want to leave their parents' homes. Okay, true. They don't want to leave their parents' homes. Why? Are we pausing to ask why? Now, when people decide to ask why, the answer is, oh, they're entitled, they don't have resilience, they can't live on their own, etc.
Yeah.
Are we looking at the economy? Are we actually looking at how easy it is to probably afford your own home today? Very different.
Yeah.
I know there's houses popping up everywhere, flats being built left, right, center, but are they affordable enough for your typical 22-year-old?
Good question.
Yeah. When I look at now my parents growing up, they were able to afford a house when they were still in their 20s because they had stable jobs, the economy was more stable, right? They could take out a mortgage, finish it within a period of time. I mean, there was that sense of stability. For us, by the time we were getting a house, we're in our 40s. My children will not be able to afford a house today. True. They really need to be doing some extra sort of income generating projects to get to the place where they can afford a home. So they will stay home longer, or they will stay in some shared housing longer, not because of entitlement, but because of the nature of the economy that we are in today. So those are some other things to actually look at, the things that we're looking at. Economy, we have talked about that. Technology and the influence it is having, right? Another thing that we have is, okay, they're lazy, they don't want to go to work. I don't think so. I think it's because of the advances we have that allow them to work from anywhere. So what if we changed our concept of what work looks like and allowed them to work from anywhere? Do we want the work done, or do we want to see them?
See them, yeah.
That's one side of thing. We say we want to see them. Now, we know that the human connection is important. So are we forcing the human connection and then we don't connect? Meaning forcing people to come to the office.
But still, there's no connection.
That's not connecting.
Yeah, yeah.
Or are we losing out on this human connection that we need to do, where we inspire people to come and talk to us?
Yeah.
We inspire people to come and connect with us. We inspire people to want to be in the office. There's a lot of that dilemma that I'm seeing happening over and over.
Yeah. And this means we need to really think of new ways of doing these things. So they are working away, you know, they prefer to work from wherever. What kind of structures are we putting in place so that monitoring is done, so that we make sure that there are reporting mechanisms that are clear? Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, there's a lot more work required of us to build those structures, to put those systems in place, but also to put the consequences in place so that they're able to feel, if this is not done, then this is what will happen.
This is the consequence.
Yeah. So yeah, we
like you're saying, like I was saying, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it is in doing the work that then you flow better later.
Right.
When you have laid a good foundation, then you can go up to whatever it is that you want. You can build from there. So like you're saying, let's do the work of putting down a proper foundation, laying a good space for then all these other new things that are happening to thrive.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, even after we have done all that, we're dealing with human beings. And I think it's also good to know that we will still have resistance. We will still have pushback. So we also release the ideal that once I have done this, then things are going to
automatically work.
Yeah. So as you work with families, and again, across the board, it's workplace, family space, how then can families begin to bridge these generational gaps in ways that are actually practical, everyday ways? Yes.
I think let's start with pressing pause.
Okay.
Just slowing down and spending time together. Yeah. We are currently in a space where the only slowing down that is being done, not the only, a lot of the slowing down that's being done is after somebody has experienced burnout.
Yeah.
And by the time you slow down because of burnout, you don't even want to connect with people. So yes, you get time off to be home because you're burnt out, but you don't have the emotional or mental energy to connect with the people at home. So I think there needs to be an intentionality to slow down. Yeah, so that you can be able to connect, right? Now, each family or each individual has to sit and think what that means to them. Does that mean that we're going to go out for dinners and lunches together? Are we going to go on a hike together? Are we going to spend a time indoors playing puzzles or different types of games? Are we going to watch a movie together? What does slowing down and spending time together look like? Are we going to cook? Right? So let's try and figure out, what does slowing down for me as an individual look like to spend time with my loved ones. Right? And there's one thing that people get scared one time, and they're told, if you don't spend time with your kid, they'll start calling somebody else mommy or daddy. Right? And that's a true thing. The other thing I think we can do as families is to be curious about each other. What makes you tick? What makes my son tick? What keeps him up at night? What makes my daughter wake up in the morning? What will make her look like today there's nothing she's doing, and then tomorrow, she has woken up, put on the makeup and left? Let's be curious about the things that make us go. Okay. And then in that curiosity, we'll get to know each other more. A kid recently did a quiz, gave their family a quiz to see how well they know them. The family did very badly. Now, the unfortunate thing is that the kid then concludes that people don't like me or they don't pay attention to me. And when I ask why, it was because these are some of the things that I keep talking about. How come they've never noticed that I talk about this thing? But now you see what's happening is that when we're not approaching each other with curiosity as a family, when somebody talks, we assume they're just doing the thing that they always do. Right? It's like you and I sitting together to talk about family. It's very easy for us to ignore each other because we know we're talking about family. So we do this to each other in the home, where just because you know that your son will be talking about football, you stop listening to which team has won, which one he's supporting, which player got an injury, all of that stuff. And so when he shifts and goes into a gambling place, where now he's gambling and making his bets with other people, is because he can only discuss it on an app because nobody at home is listening. So let's get curious about each other. That curiosity will also help us guide the younger generation into the different careers that they can possibly partake in. That's very important. Yes. Yeah. Right? So my child could be brilliant in sciences, be an all-rounder, but they're interested in food technology, or they're interested in hospitality, right? Hospitality and business, but they're brilliant in sciences. If I only focus on the grade card, that's report card, then all I'll see is what they are academically good at. I will not see their heart. Yeah. Because there's nowhere where the heart is graded. There's nowhere where our passions are graded. Those ones will happen when you're curious about your child, curious about the person you're living with, and just finding out stuff about them. The other thing when we're not curious is that we end up forcing our children into spaces that we wished we had gotten into. Whereas if we encouraged curiosity, surprise, the child can actually voluntarily get into that place because you got there. Right? So you encourage your child to ask you questions. They will look at it and think, oh, actually, that would be an interesting idea. What if I try it out? And you'll see, how do I know that? That you'll see people saying, my father is the one who introduced me into this. My mother taught me how to do this. Even what I was sharing. Yeah, exactly. Right? Yeah. Is that there's things that you can end up guiding your child because you allowed them to be curious about the life that you live. So be curious about each other. And then open up. As in really, really open up. It's not about telling all the gory details. It's about opening up and showing that you also had a human life. Yeah. Before you became this perfect parent. In quotes, right? It's show the anxiety that you had growing up. Open up about the challenges that you faced. Open up about the opportunities that you missed. Open up about things that you would do different if you had a chance again. Open up about things that you do not regret doing, even if they turned out wrong. Open up about the things that make you laugh, the things that make you cry. There's many children who don't know their parents' birthdays. They've never seen their parents cry, so they don't think that it's okay to cry. And this is not just a male thing. Even females don't know that it's okay to cry because they're being brought up by strong women. Yeah. So when I say open up, is just be this kind of person who's now human to your child, even if, yes, it's true that you're struggling to raise them. Share the struggle with them. Not by making them feel like it's their fault, by actually celebrating, showing them what you're planning, showing them how you're thinking it through, right? And they will come and help you where they can. So there's a lot of opening up that really needs to be done. And I think that's one of the hardest ones, just being open and vulnerable, because there is just that belief system that vulnerability is equal to weakness, or how much should I divulge? How much should I be open? Or this is not, I'm the parent, I'm not the friend, so we are not going to open up. How do you speak into that? I'm the parent, I'm not the friend. Yes. Let me tell you what, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're not the friend does not mean that you don't be friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can be friendly to my child without them being my friend. Because that means that I'm going to enjoy their company. I'm going to laugh with them. You know, I'm going to share some tidbits with them. I'm going to work towards a goal with them. That's being friendly. I'm going to be kind to them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not my boss or buddy, who then we cannot, like we are extremely open to the point of sharing inappropriate information.
Yeah. Or we don't have
They struggles. Exactly. You start violating the boundary that the child needs.
Yeah.
And you see, this is the thing that's said about children and boundaries. Many of them, it's not that they don't have boundaries, it's that they were not allowed to set them. So when you walk around not allowing your child to understand that you're the parent, right? You're violating their boundary to the point of you're not even helping them build one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have no physical boundaries with your child, and that has to do with the kissing and how you show up and everything else, then how will your child know how to set physical boundaries for themselves? If you talk the way you want your child know that that is not okay, right? Even, can you imagine, even badging into their rooms and them badging into your room?
Yeah.
Those are the physical boundaries
Both
I'm
ways,
talking
right?
about.
Yeah.
Both ways. You train by modeling. And when we choose to be our children's friends, we are not modeling the right thing because we are even unequal as friends. Yeah. If I was a friend with a 70-year-old woman or 80-year-old woman, yes, she's my friend, but she's also my senior. So we'll be friendly with each other, but I would recognize her position as far as mine is concerned. How are we teaching our children that when we just violate that friend boundary? So no, we are not friends, we are their parents. However, sharing your heart is not about parent versus friend. Sharing your heart is a human thing to do to guide your child into the grown-up that they're becoming.
Okay. Correct. Openness, connecting, be curious. What else? Any other practical way?
Maybe I could borrow from what I have seen in families that are thriving.
Okay.
Because many times when we talk about this, we end up sounding as though everything is doom and, parents really need to do all the work.
Yeah.
There are families that are thriving, not because they're not making mistakes, right? Because you see, the thing about thriving is about growing up getting up and growing on from the stumbling that you may do, right? So some of the things I have seen is families that are thriving reference each other.
Okay.
They reference each other's wisdom. When the older generation is saying, I learned this from my kid, they say it with pride and they honor the lesson they learned from the kid. When the kid is saying, I learned this from my mom, it's not from the point of they forced me to. It is actually, hey, she did a good job with this one. Or I learned this from my dad. This is how he used to do it. Or this is what he did different. And then this is how I do it now. So there's that referencing across for each other's to each other's wisdom that I see happening a lot. The other thing that I end up seeing is that they invite and include each other. Okay. Just because my son will invite me to something does not make us friends. It just means that the relationship is close enough for me to be included in his life and vice versa. So when I invite my daughter, like you are saying, you've seen them in my hangouts and such like this. When you see them coming, it's not because we are friends in terms of buddies. It's because we have a close enough relationship that the value that they have in this particular situation is recognized, acknowledged, and leveraged on. So there's a lot of inclusion that happens intergenerationally, right? I have an uncle who's almost 90 now. He was a craftsman when he was working in his working days, right? In the painting, construction, and such industries. When I need something that I know requires some historical knowledge, he's the best person to ask. He'll tell you which is the right stone to put on which fence. He'll tell you which is the best place to go and get this kind of wood versus this kind of wood. Including such a person in the conversations becomes a very interesting thing to have. And why is that happening? Because the barriers are not there. The connection is actually there. And the boundaries are there. So I'm not going to be sending him to get me the wood. Right? But why not ask him for his input? Why not invite him as I'm going to look for these things? The other thing that these families have is trust. They trust each other. You won't hear these families say, oh, Gen Zs are, oh, boomers are this, or Gen Xers are this. They don't categorize each other based on these titles that the world has given us. They trust each other. Is that if the younger generation says they're going to do something, then they will do it. The older generation says they're going to do something, they do it. Right? So when they're giving a reason for connection, they say it is because I know who that person is, not because they are old or they are the other. No. So there's a lot of trust that happens. And then, of course, with that is the focus on humanness.
Okay.
I find that these families actually focus on the humanness of a person.
Right.
Right? They will say, you know, when dad comes home tired, this is what he normally is like. So I think it's better that the best time to ask him, and they're not asking it from fear, they're asking from just acknowledging.
Yeah.
There's some things that are taxing, you know? Yeah. You know, when mom has been busy, like now, lecturing, you're lecturing, and then now you have papers to mark and things to coursework to look through, right? When you're doing all that, they cut you some slack. And even if there was a routine or, you know those timetables that people have for doing chores in the home, you will find them saying, no, let me do it for you today because I can see you're tired. Let me do it today because I can see this and this is happening. So they focus on the humanness of each other, right? And probably one last thing I can add is that we see this with the confidence and security. The confidence in the offspring, the confidence in the younger generation is great. And then we have secure adults. Adults who don't feel threatened because a Gen Z has done this or the other.
Spoken up.
Yeah. Just because they have spoken up, that's not about me. It does not reflect on me. It's actually reflecting what they believe. Yeah. And in this household, they are allowed to believe what they believe. So it's the confidence level and secureness that is there, a security that is there in these families.
Yeah. Amazing. I think you're just grounding us back. Yes, we are different, generations are different, but what you're grounding us back to is the humanness of us all. And that if that's what we are focusing on from a place of curiosity, from a place of openness to share with one another, being able to pause, like you're saying, pause and listen. Let's pause. Let's acknowledge that we are different, not necessarily because of age, but because of the experiences that we are in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, thank you for breaking it down in a very simple way that we are actually more similar than we are different. And in the humanness is how we connect. So what encouragement can you give both generations or all generations? Because it's not just two generations, not just the adults and the young adult or the teenagers. What hope, what encouragement can you give us as we seek to connect and work through these perplexities and these myths?
Probably to say that disconnection is not permanent, right? Just because you may feel disconnected or you may feel like you have not quite connected the way you ought to,
right,
is to encourage each and every one of us, everybody listening, everybody attending this summit, is to understand that we can always start connecting. Is a connection starts anywhere. The minute you have made that intentional decision to do whatever you can to connect, and then you start practicing this curiosity, getting to accept who you are, just acknowledge the history and then move forward, right? You will be able to build a connection. It is starting today. What are you going to choose to do as a family, as an individual, as somebody reporting to your boss? Right. You know, there's something we call working theories, right? Where in my mind, I have a story about who you should be. Now, if we got to the place where we can question that theory and say, what if it's not true? What if it's not fully true? We'll be able to connect. So I think I would say, start now. Start now. Don't worry about where you have been, right? Don't worry about what has happened in the past. Choose to connect now and just get started. Pull out a game, pull out a card game, quiz, puzzle, etc. Go on a trip, go shopping together, Google something, watch a movie. Start small and start doing those things together, right? There's a 13-year-old who asked me the other time. I don't have 13-year-olds in my house, right? But there's a neighbor who one time asked me, so she passed by and I was playing a game. She got curious. Then the other day she passes by and asked me, when can we play again? Because that's all it takes.
Yeah.
When can we play again? We have been disconnected. When is the next time that you can possibly connect? It's picking up that phone and saying, when can we have that cup of coffee? It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it's encouraging people to stop looking at the baggage, what they have carried, what has happened in the past, and choose to do something different. Because this connection is not permanent. Connection is always possible. You just need to decide to start.
It is possible at whatever age. It is never too late to start.
Whatever age, whatever time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for simplifying it and for bringing so much hope to this summit. And for those who are listening and who are watching, just remember we will have Shalom's contacts as part of this, the resources for this summit. Thank you so much again, Shalom. We have really...
Most welcome. I'm honored.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.